Okay. So, I've had a bunch of national guitars come in and out of my life over the years, and one that I've kept is this 1930 Triolian. It's a mess. It's been refinished. It's missing its heel cap. One of the tuners have been replaced. One of the things I love the most about it is it's got these two gemstones in here. They're blue, and I had a Siamese cat for about 18 years named Sapphire, and so I named this guitar Sapphire after my Siamese cat. The previous owner, or one of its previous owners, named it Bud. It's hard to tell. It's either Bud, Bob, or Bub. Who knows? But somebody loved it and named it. So here's the story. Decided I wanted to get a Triolian. Wanted one kind of beat up because I didn't really care about condition. I just wanted a Triolian. So I won this over 10 years ago on eBay. And I don't know, a week or so had gone by and I hadn't heard anything from the seller that I had won it from. And I didn't win it for very much money either. So I thought, well, maybe they were going to back out or something of that nature. So I contacted the seller. And it turned out that this guitar had belonged to a gentleman who had passed away, and he had donated his entire estate to his church. And the church had put everything that they thought they could sell on eBay up at auction. So the guitar had been given to somebody in the church to ship to me. So they gave me that person's number. So I call him on the phone, and I can hear like wind blowing. And he's out in a field somewhere fixing fences because he had some kind of animals. I don't remember what the animals were. They may have been cattle, whatever kind of an animal that would need to have a fence. He was fixing the fence. And he explained to me that, he knew he had to ship me the guitar, but he was kind of confused as to how he was going to ship it to me. And so I explained to him to go to a local music store and get a box and just put it in the box and send it to me. It had a metal body. So I said, don't worry too much, just pack it so the neck doesn't get broken. So some time goes by, I don't hear from him, the guitar doesn't show up. I call him up again. He's like, well, I went to the local music store and they didn't have a box big enough. I said, well, maybe they have two boxes and you could telescope them together and then send me the guitar. He goes, oh yeah, well, that sounds like a good idea. So he goes back to the guitar shop apparently, and for whatever reason, that wasn't going to work. So he calls me up and he says, I ship a lot of livestock. I think I'm going to make a wooden box and put the guitar in the wooden box and ship it to you. And I'm like, you really don't want to do that because it's going to cost you a fortune. Because again, I didn't pay a lot for the guitar, and I suspected, sending a thing about the weight of a coffin via UPS from way out west was just not going to work. So he said he'd see what he could do, and he encouraged me to call the minister of the church because the guitar, he told me, had an interesting story. So I called up the minister of the church, and she explained that this person who owned it before me had won it in a card game in Italy during World War II, and that he had carried the guitar with him through the war and then brought it back home. Apparently his wife thought it was ugly and smelly and wouldn't allow it in the house. So he hung it in the barn, and there it stayed out in the barn until he passed away. So this guitar made it through World War II, which is kind of cool, I think. So some more time goes by, and one day the UPS truck pulls in, and the driver asks if we could come out and help him with this box because it's so heavy he can barely carry it. And sure enough, the fella built a box to ship it in. And so it came in a nice wooden box that we actually use as a storage container. It was so well built. So anyway, here we got a 1930 Triolian that got won in a card game in Italy during World War II, hung in a barn for who knows how long. When I got it, there was actually hay and alfalfa and all kinds of stuff all down inside. It actually smelled like the barn when I got it. But I've had it for a long time, and it's one of the guitars that I love this guitar. Not because it's in great condition or has a great value, but it certainly has a great story.